Now we're going to look at designing and building a faster space engineer. Let's go here and take a look at our engine for a utility vehicle. And one of the things you're going to notice now is we have not only power, but thrust, speed, and maneuverability to worry about. Now with your thrust, you don't want your thrust to go over your the size of your hull, otherwise you're wasting space. And you don't want it to be lower than it either, otherwise you will lose speed and maneuver. So before we actually design this, let's go take a look at how big a space engineer hull is so we know how much thrust generation we need. So let's take a look at our hulls and our utility vehicle, and here's our space engineer hull. With our space engineer, take note, it has a size of 700 and an engine compartment of 24. I recommend keeping a small notebook to write these things down. You can also just bring up a nice little notepad. So now that we know that we have an engine compartment of 24 and a thrust generation of 700, let's go ahead and look at our engine. Utility vehicle. We want to lower this down to 700, and we want to make this as fast as possible. Now, another thing to look at and keep in mind is we can use our alloy that we made for our facility engine, but if you notice, it does not have the exact same properties that we would normally be looking for. Now, if we were to design one using this, it would be fine, but once you start to get into larger hulls and more complicated speeds and maneuvers and thrust generation, you are going to want those very specific alloys. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to just use this alloy because it will get the job done.
Construction started.
Now right now I'm just putting this all at 25 so I can see which one has the highest percentage. We have a tie between these two, so let's just go with this one to unlock and start lowering our usage. Nope. I want to keep that one unlocked. Alright, we've got that down about as much as we can go, I think. Yep. So, we have our space engineer, engine, 30 maneuver, 30 speed. But here's another interesting dilemma. We now notice that the size of our engine is 48, but our engine compartment in the stock space engineer is only 24, which now means we have to design a space engineer hull, which is where our hull alloy that we designed earlier will come into play. Now let's take a look at this. Right now they have their materials set to Berganin. We want to change that to our hull alloy. Another thing we want to do is notice the hit points. We can make the hit points the exact same as the hull size without any problems. Now, let's get ready to rename our Space Engineer hull. To make it easy, we'll just go with SE. Version 1.0. And let's add some more engine space. We see that we have 24 so far, so let's just keep adding until we have enough. I added a little bit extra, but now I know that this engine hull has enough room to take the new engine that we designed. So let's go ahead and submit this, redesign this.
Research complete.
And let's research it.
Research initiated.
Good news. Our power generators have finished building, or our engines for our power generators have anyway. So let's go ahead and build some.
Construction complete.
In order to find the nearest idle engineer, I just hit Control E, and if you just hold down and keep hitting E, it will cycle through them. So for now, let's go here. Here's the new 30K one that I designed.
Research complete.
Order acknowledged.
Let's build all 6.
Order acknowledged. Affirmative.
Once again, I am holding down the Shift key in order to queue up my buildings. Alright, I think it looks like our hull has finished researching. Yes, it has. So let's go into our prototypes. Here's our space engineer. Now, instead of using this one, we will use the space engineer hull that we just designed. And scratch that. We have designed our space engineer hull, or we have designed our engine for our space engineer, so let's go ahead and research that.
Insufficient personnel.
And as you can see, these require colonists, enlisted, and officers. As of yet, we have not created any barracks or officers facilities yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's find our next nearest engineer. We can use this one right here.
Setting new course.
And we shall build a barracks. Now, if you let go of the shift, hold down shift again, and then grab your next thing,
Acknowledged.
you can also queue up different types of facilities at the same time. Alright, now that our barracks has finished building, let's go ahead and build, let's say, 90 enlisted. Keep it simple. Alright, now as you can see, we have 30 enlisted ready to go. And you have to have enlisted in order to build officers. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and build our officers.
Production initiated.
Now as you can see, my new power generators have finished, and I am making lots of power. But I no longer need any of these. Oh, I have an engineer in here and I don't want to get rid of him. Let's move him out of the way. We shall select all of these, and I don't need the components from them at all, so I am just going to hit the delete key and get rid of them.
Facility lost.
Now I have much less CP usage, more than enough power, and I can keep going.